Get out. Paying bills doesn't make you family, my dad yelled on Thanksgiving. Mom whispered, "You're just jealous of your brother." I smiled and said, "Then let him cover the $9,600. That night I turned everything off. By morning there were cops, tears, and chaos everywhere. Imagine pouring your heart, your soul, and every single spare dollar into the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally, only to realize you were nothing more than their personal ATM, and resented for the very help you gave. That was my life. Until one disastrous Thanksgiving dinner. That's when everything changed. My name is Rachel Morgan, I'm 28, and on paper I'm pretty accomplished. I'm a financial analyst at one of Boston's top firms. But let me tell you, every single month, when I hit that transfer button for $1,600 to cover my parents' mortgage, it felt like I was that desperate little girl again, still begging for a scrap of approval. Despite literally funding their entire lifestyle, I was always the family disappointment. My younger brother, Kevin, he just basked in unearned praise. It was infuriating. Before I tell you exactly how I finally found my voice and stood up for myself, I'm curious. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. And hey, if you've ever felt completely unappreciated by the very people you sacrifice everything for, hit that subscribe button and like this video. You're not alone. Growing up in the Morgan household, there was one brutal, undeniable truth. My father, Harold, had expectations. And me? I almost never met them. Not even close. From elementary school spelling bees to high school debate championships, nothing I did seemed quite good enough. Second place is just the first loser, he'd sneer, barely glancing at my trophies, his disappointment practically radiating off him. My mother, Linda, she was different, but not better. Dad was a constant open critic. Mom, she was passively dismissive. "Oh, that's nice, dear," she'd mumble, her eyes glued to some magazine that inevitably featured Kevin's latest football triumph. Her indifference, honestly, it cut deeper than Dad's barbed comments. Then there was Kevin, 3 years younger, the golden child. He became royalty the moment he threw his first perfect spiral at age 7. His mediocre grades? Oh, those were just focusing on what really matters. My straight A's? Trying too hard to show off. When he made varsity football as a freshman, my parents threw this huge backyard barbecue. Me? Accepted to Harvard with a partial scholarship? I got a quick nod and a condescending, "Well, you always did like books, didn't you?" This toxic pattern? It was the soundtrack to my entire childhood. So I learned to find validation elsewhere. In my teacher's praise. In academic achievements. In the quiet burning satisfaction of knowing I was building something real. Just for me. I threw myself into my studies, utterly determined to carve out a life where their approval wouldn't matter. College was my escape hatch. Harvard. Economics major, computer science minor, graduated with honors. My family? No one showed up. Kevin had a football game. I told myself it didn't matter. But it did. After college, I landed a job at Beacon Financial Partners. Super prestigious. I built a whole new life for myself in Boston. For 5 years, I kept them at a polite distance. Holiday visits, occasional phone calls. Nothing deep. Nothing that could hurt me. Then 3 years ago, my world turned upside down again. Dad called. Tuesday evening. His voice was subdued. That alone was a shock. He'd been laid off. After 20 years at the manufacturing plant. He was 58, no college degree, in an industry that was just gone. His prospects were grim. Mom? She'd only ever worked part-time at the local library. Their savings? Practically non-existent. The mortgage was 3 months behind. They were about to lose the house I grew up in. Me? I just gotten a huge promotion. I had a comfortable life in Boston. Enough left over for savings, investments. But I didn't hesitate. Not for a second. I packed up my apartment, moved back to my hometown, rented a small place near them, and I started paying their $1,600 mortgage directly to the bank. Utilities, groceries, car insurance, another $800 a month gone. Just until Dad finds something new, Mom had said, squeezing my hand, tears in her eyes. That was 3 years ago. Dad eventually found part-time work at a hardware store. Barely enough to cover his own expenses. Mom picked up more hours. But the mortgage, the utilities, still squarely on my shoulders. $9,600 a year. Every year. For 3 years. That's nearly $29,000. Did they appreciate it? Not in any way that mattered. Dad still criticized my investment choices. Mom still compared me to Kevin, who'd moved to Chicago, worked in sales, called on holidays, sent birthday cards, but contributed absolutely nothing financially. Yet he remained the perfect son. This year, I decided to host Thanksgiving at my new apartment. My latest promotion meant I had a dining room big enough. I invited them, Kevin and his new girlfriend, Brittany. I spent weeks planning. Dad's favorite bourbon-glazed ham. Mom's sweet potato casserole recipe. Even tracking down Kevin's craft beer. The Tuesday before, I spent $347 at the grocery store. Organic produce. Free-range turkey. Premium ingredients. As I loaded the bags into my car, I felt this familiar mix of hope and dread. Hope that this year would be different. Dread that it would be exactly the same. They'll see how much effort you're putting in, I told myself, catching my reflection in the rearview mirror. But another voice whispered, when have they ever? Thanksgiving morning. The smell of butter and spices already filled my apartment. I'd been up since 5 a.m., preparing the turkey, chopping vegetables. My dining table was set with my best dishes. Wedding gifts from a marriage that didn't work out, but that's a story for another time. Crystal wine glasses gleamed under my grandmother's antique chandelier. As I worked, memories of past Thanksgivings flooded my mind. Last year, Dad complained the turkey was dry, Mom fretted I was still single. The year before, they talked nonstop about Kevin's promotion, barely acknowledging I just closed the biggest account of my career. The year before that, Mom invited my ex without telling me, hoping to help us reconcile. We hadn't spoken in months. My phone buzzed. A text from Amber, my best friend. Survival plan in place. Remember what we talked about, boundaries? I smiled. God, I was so grateful for her. She'd been my rock through years of this family drama. She'd offered to come for moral support, but I declined. Some disasters you just face alone. All good, I texted back. Turkey and oven, alcohol stocked. Escape plan. Fake work emergency at 8 p.m. Her reply came immediately. I'll call at 8 sharp. Use code word spreadsheet, if extraction needed. Love you. I knew I had a lifeline. At 11:30, the doorbell rang. Mom, first. She walked in carrying a store-bought pumpkin pie, even though I told her dessert was covered. The table looks nice, she said, eyeing my carefully arranged settings. But wouldn't it be better with the blue plates? These white ones are so corporate. I bit back the reminder that she always used white plates. Thanks for the pie, Mom. Kitchen's that way. She frowned at the turkey. You're not using my recipe. I'm trying Ina Garten's method this year, I explained. Brining overnight. Well, I hope your father won't mind experiments. You know how traditional he is. Traditional, meaning he expected everything exactly as it always had been. Unless he wanted something different. I took a deep breath. Can I get you some wine? She settled in the living room, Chardonnay in hand, flipping channels. I tried to ignore her helpful comments about my kitchen. At 12:15, Kevin arrived with Brittany, his girlfriend. He brought nothing but his phone. Brittany, bless her, brought flowers. Yellow roses. She handed them to me with a genuine smile. These are beautiful, I said, genuinely touched. Thank you. Our pleasure, she said, glancing at Kevin, who was already hugging Mom. Your place is gorgeous. Can I help with anything? Before I could answer, Mom practically shrieked. Kevin, look how handsome you are. That Chicago weather must agree with you. Kevin just grinned, soaking up the adoration. The Bears are having a good season too. My sales numbers are through the roof. That's wonderful, honey. Mom beamed. I handed Brittany a glass of wine. Thanks for the offer, but I've got it. I appreciate it. Brittany took the wine, her eyes sharp, observant. This is my first time meeting your parents. Kevin's told me so much about your family. From the sympathetic look she gave me, I suspected he'd told her more truth than fiction. Dad arrived last. 12:45. 15 minutes before mealtime. He carried a six-pack of domestic beer, completely ignoring the craft beers I'd bought specifically for him. Place is hard to find, he grumbled. Should have better directions. Dad, I texted them to you yesterday, I said, accepting his awkward side hug. Well, smells good in here anyway, he conceded. From him? That was high praise. As I basted the turkey, I overheard him in the living room. Rachel's going all fancy on us this year. Probably trying to show off with all that Boston money. Harold, Mom said, a half-hearted reprimand. What? It's true. All these fancy dishes, expensive wines. Who's she trying to impress? I gripped the counter, knuckles white. $347 in groceries. $1,600 mortgage. $800 in other bills. All for them. And this was the thanks I got. Kevin wandered into the kitchen. Hey sis, he said, completely oblivious. Dad brought Budweiser. Got any in the fridge? There's craft beer, I said, my voice tight. That IPA you like? Kevin shrugged. Dad says those fancy beers are just for people who want to feel special. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Take whatever you want, Kevin. As he rummaged, I checked the turkey. Perfect. Golden brown. Right on schedule. At least something was going according to plan. At precisely 1 p.m. I announced dinner. Everyone took their seats. Dad at one end, Kevin and Brittany on one side, Mom and me on the other. The spread looked like it was straight out of a food magazine. Herb roasted turkey, bourbon glazed ham, 3 kinds of potatoes, green bean casserole, homemade cranberry sauce, fresh rolls. Dad eyed it all. Where's the stuffing? It's right here, I said, pointing. Cornbread stuffing with sausage and apples. He poked at it suspiciously. Doesn't look like your mother's stuffing. And just like that, it began. Let's say grace, Dad announced, grabbing Mom's hand and Kevin's. Heads bowed. Lord, he began. We thank you for this food and for bringing our family together today. We're especially grateful for Kevin making the trip from Chicago to be with us. We thank you for his continued success and for Brittany joining our family circle. We ask your blessing on this meal and on our family bonds, which are more important than any material possessions or worldly success. Amen. My eyes stayed closed a beat longer than everyone else's. Not in prayer. In utter soul-crushing disbelief. Not a single word of thanks for the meal I'd prepared, the home I'd provided for the gathering, or the financial support that kept their home from foreclosure. I caught Brittany's gaze across the table. A flash of recognition. She saw it too. She understood. The turkey looks great, Rachel, Brittany offered as we passed dishes. Yes, not bad, Mom chimed in with the tone she reserved for a child's finger painting, though I usually leave it in a bit longer. It's perfectly cooked, Brittany countered, slicing into her piece. Moist but fully done. Did you brine it? Yes, overnight with herbs and citrus, I replied, genuinely warming to her interest. Fancy, Dad muttered, loading his plate with ham, ignoring the turkey. Kevin, already on his second beer, steered the conversation to football. For the next 20 minutes, they dissected the Bears game while Mom occasionally asked Brittany about her job as a pediatric nurse. I ate in silence, wondering why I'd bothered with organic heirloom vegetables when no one but Brittany seemed to notice or care. Rachel, how's work? Brittany asked during a lull, trying to include me. Before I could answer, Mom jumped in. Oh, she's still at that financial place. Always working such long hours. She turned to Kevin. Nothing like your job where you get to meet all those interesting sports people. Actually, I said, my voice cutting through. I put down my fork. I was promoted to senior investment strategist last month. I'm now managing a portfolio worth over $300 million for our top clients. That sounds impressive, Brittany said. Dad snorted. Numbers on a computer screen. Not like real work. My work is very real, Dad, I said, heat rising in my cheeks. Those numbers represent people's retirements, college funds for their kids, security for their families, and good money for you, I bet, he shot back. Which is why I don't understand why you're always complaining about helping your family out a little. The room went silent. Even Kevin looked uncomfortable. When have I ever complained about helping out? I asked quietly. Your mother told me you mentioned the mortgage was due next week. As if we didn't know. My head snapped to Mom, who suddenly became fascinated with rearranging her potatoes. I only mentioned it because I needed to transfer the money from my investment account. It takes 2 business days, and with the holiday weekend. There you go again. Dad interrupted, his voice rising. Always bringing up money. We get it, Rachel. You're successful. You make good money. You help us out. Do you want a medal? Harold, Mom murmured, but her tone held no real objection. No, Linda. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. Rachel holds this money over our heads like she's some kind of savior. My hands began to shake. 3 years. $28,800. And not once, not a single time had I used it to guilt them or demand gratitude. I have never held anything over your heads, I said, my voice trembling now. I help because you're my family and you needed it. And we appreciate it. Mom said quickly. Don't we, Harold? Dad stabbed a piece of ham. What I'd appreciate is a daughter who cares about more than her bank account. Family is about loyalty, not dollar signs. Loyalty. The word tasted like ash in my mouth. I moved back here 3 years ago to help you. I've paid your mortgage, your utilities, your car insurance. Here we go again with the money talk. Dad's voice was a shout now. This is exactly what I mean. You think because you write some checks, you're entitled to special treatment. Special treatment? I echoed, utterly incredulous. When have I ever received special treatment in this family? Kevin shifted, clearly wanting to disappear. Maybe we should talk about something else. No, I said, my voice firm. I want to know what Dad means by special treatment. Do you mean acknowledgement? Basic gratitude? Because I haven't seen much of either. You want gratitude? Dad's face went crimson. Fine. Thank you, Rachel, for doing what any decent daughter would do for her parents. There. Happy now. Something snapped inside me. A decent daughter? What about a decent father? One who doesn't constantly criticize and diminish his child's achievements. One who shows an ounce of appreciation when that child sacrifices her own financial security to save his house? That's enough. Dad slammed his hand on the table, making the plates jump. I won't be spoken to like this in, well, I would say my house, but I guess you'd remind me it's technically your house, wouldn't you? It's my apartment that I pay for. Yes, I said quietly. Just like I pay for your house. Dad stood so abruptly his chair tipped backward. Get out, he shouted. Paying bills doesn't make you family. Get out. The sheer absurdity of being told to get out of my own home would have been comical if it hadn't been so excruciating. Brittany looked horrified. Kevin stared at his plate. Mom reached for Dad's arm. Harold, please. It's Thanksgiving. He shook her off. I won't sit here and be disrespected by my own daughter. Disrespected? I laughed, a hollow bitter sound. That's rich coming from you. Mom leaned toward me, her voice a harsh whisper. You're just jealous of your brother. You always have been. He knows how to be part of this family without turning everything into a transaction. Her words hit me like a physical blow. After everything I had done, everything I had sacrificed. This was what she truly believed. I stood up slowly, a strange, terrifying calm settling over me. You're right, Mom. My voice was flat. Kevin does know how to be part of this family. He calls on holidays, sends birthday cards, and contributes absolutely nothing to keeping you in your home. I looked at my brother. No offense, Kevin. He had the grace to look ashamed. I smiled, a calculated, foreign expression. So you know what? You're absolutely right. Let Kevin be the perfect child. Let him take over the mortgage payments and the utilities and everything else. That's $9,600 a year that I'll be keeping from now on. Dad's face went pale. Now, Rachel, there's no need to be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, Dad. I'm being transactional. Remember? And this transaction is officially terminated. I walked to the door and held it open. Dinner's over. Please leave. Rachel. Mom began. No, I cut her off. Now. All of you. One by one they filed out. Dad fuming. Mom tearful. Kevin avoiding my eyes. Only Brittany paused. I'm so sorry, she whispered. For what it's worth, I think you deserved better. After they left, I closed the door, turned the lock, leaned against it. The table was still laden with food, glasses half full, napkins abandoned, $347 in groceries, $28,800 in support. And now, freedom, at a price I was finally willing to pay. After everyone left, I just stood there, in the suffocating silence of my apartment. The turkey was cooling, potatoes congealing, wine glasses like abandoned sentinels. I grabbed my car keys. I had to escape. For 2 hours I drove, aimlessly, past the high school where I'd been valedictorian to minimal applause, past the park where Dad taught Kevin to throw a football, but never came to my debate competitions, past the library where Mom worked but never displayed my academic awards. Memories crashed over me. The national essay contest I won in 10th grade. It's just writing, Dad said. Anyone can put words on paper. Mom forgetting to pick me up from math club because Kevin had a scrimmage, leaving me waiting in the rain for 2 hours. Them using my college fund to buy Kevin a car. My phone rang. Amber. Hey, I answered, my voice thick with unshed tears. Rachel, what's wrong? Did something happen? Her concern broke me. I pulled into an empty parking lot and told her everything. Dad's outburst. Mom's accusation. My final ultimatum. ORA, Amber sighed. I'm so sorry. But honestly, this has been coming for years. What do you mean? You've been their ATM. With no recognition. No appreciation. Definitely no respect. They've been financially and emotionally abusing you, and you've been letting them. That's not. I started to protest, then stopped. Wasn't it? Remember when we talked about enabling toxic dynamics? Amber continued gently. You've been enabling them to treat you badly by continuing to fund their lifestyle, while accepting their disrespect. A tear slid down my cheek. So this is my fault? God no. Their behavior is 100% on them. But continuing to pay their bills while they treat you like garbage? That's a choice you've been making. And you can unmake it. Her words hit me like a thunderbolt. For 3 years I told myself I was doing the right thing. The responsible thing. The loving thing. But what kind of love demanded everything and gave nothing in return? You're right, I said, wiping away tears. This ends tonight. What are you going to do? I started the car. Exactly what I told them. I'm cutting them off completely. Are you sure? That's a big step. I've never been more sure of anything. I'll call you tomorrow. Driving back to my apartment, I felt a curious mix of grief and determination. The family I tried so hard to please, to support, to love, it might be lost to me now. But perhaps it had never really existed except in my desperate hopes. Back home, I cleaned the dining room methodically, wrapping leftovers, washing dishes, restoring order to the physical space while my mind mapped out the financial extrication plan. Once the kitchen was spotless, I sat at my desk, opened my laptop. First, I logged into my bank account, canceled every single automatic payment for their mortgage, utilities, insurance. Each cancellation asked, "Are you sure?" Yes, yes, yes. Each click felt like breaking a chain that had bound me for far too long. Next, an email to Michael Stevens, my family lawyer. Dear Michael, I am writing to formally document my decision to cease all financial support to Harold and Linda Morgan, effective immediately. I detailed everything. This arrangement was never contractually established and was intended as temporary assistance. I am under no legal obligation. As of today, November 24th, I am terminating all financial support. Please keep this email as documentation of this decision in case of any future disputes. Regards, Rachel Morgan. After sending it, I texted my parents' landlord. I will no longer be responsible for any payments. The reply came quickly. Understood, Rachel. December payment will be their responsibility. Yes, I typed back. All future payments are their responsibility. Finally, I logged into the utility company websites. Removed my name. My payment information. The customer service rep at the electric company sounded sympathetic. We'll send notification to the account holders, she said. They'll have 7 days to update before service is affected. Thank you, I replied, a twinge of guilt. I quickly suppressed it. 7 days. That was fair warning. By midnight, I had completely dismantled the financial structure I'd built to support them. Nearly $2,400 a month. Mine. The weight of that responsibility lifted. But in its place, a heavy sadness settled. Despite everything, they were still my parents. I booked a hotel room. I didn't want to be in my apartment if they decided to show up. As I packed an overnight bag, my phone exploded. Texts from Dad. Furious to threatening. Voicemails from Mom. Crying to guilt-tripping. Nothing from Kevin. Yet, I silenced my phone. Grabbed my bag. One last look around my apartment. This place was supposed to be my sanctuary. It had become another battlefield in the endless war for their approval. Tonight I was retreating. But this wasn't surrender. This was a strategic withdrawal. To protect what mattered most, my self-respect. In the hotel I took a long shower, letting the hot water wash away the stress. Wrapped in a plush robe, I sat by the window overlooking the town. My town. Where I'd grown up. Achieved. Strived. And never quite measured up. Tomorrow would bring consequences. Confrontations. Chaos even. But tonight, I had taken the first step toward freedom. From a cycle of emotional manipulation that had defined my relationship with my family, for as long as I could remember. My phone lit up with a text from Amber. You okay? I will be, I replied. And for the first time in years, I actually believed it. I woke up the next morning to 37 missed calls, 22 voicemails, 64 text messages. Scrolling through them, I saw the usual suspects. Dad, Mom, Kevin. But also aunts, uncles, family friends I hadn't spoken to in months. Word had spread. Fast. Dad's first voicemail, 7:14 a.m. Rachel, this childish tantrum has gone far enough. Call me immediately. The second. The mortgage company just called. They said you removed your payment information. This isn't funny. By the 8th, his tone had shifted to panic. Rachel, please. We need to talk. Your mother is very upset. Mom's messages were predictably manipulative. How could you do this to us after everything we've done for you? I didn't raise you to be this selfish. And finally, I'm not feeling well from all this stress. I hope you're satisfied. I deleted them all without responding. Ordered room service. While I waited, I checked my email. Michael Stevens had replied. His professional confirmation. You are correct that you have no legal obligation. Such claims would be extremely difficult to prove. If you encounter any legal issues, contact me immediately. Solidified my resolve. I had done nothing wrong. I was simply ending something toxic. After breakfast, I went to work. I thought about calling in sick, but hiding wouldn't help. Better to face it head on. I just settled at my desk when our receptionist called. Rachel, 2 people in the lobby insisting on seeing you. They say they're your parents. No appointment. They seem agitated. My stomach clenched, but my voice was steady. Please tell them I'm in meetings all morning. Can't be disturbed. If they don't leave, call security. Are you sure? They're saying it's a family emergency. Diane, there's no emergency except the one they've created. Thank you. 20 minutes later, my boss, Jennifer, knocked. Rachel, minute? I braced myself. Of course. She closed the door. Security just escorted 2 people from the building. Claimed to be your parents. Causing quite a scene. Her expression was concerned, not accusatory. Is everything okay? I almost deflected. But Jennifer had always been straight with me. No, it's not okay. My parents and I had a significant falling out yesterday. I've been financially supporting them for 3 years. I informed them that support is ending. They're not taking it well. Jennifer nodded. I see. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Do you need some time off? Her simple question, free of judgment, brought unexpected tears to my eyes. No, thank you. Work's actually a good distraction right now. All right. But the offer stands. And Rachel, I've instructed security not to allow them into the building again, without your explicit permission. This is your workplace. You have a right to do your job without that disruption. Thank you. I managed, so touched by her unwavering support. By lunchtime, Kevin finally texted. Mom and Dad are freaking out. They say you cut them off completely. Is that true? I took a deep breath. Yes. I'm done being the family ATM while being treated like I don't matter. His reply came quickly. But what about their mortgage? The utilities? What about them, Kevin? I've paid them for 3 years. Maybe it's your turn. You know I can't afford that. I'm barely making enough to cover my own expenses. Then I guess they'll need to figure something out. Sell the house. Downsize. Get better jobs. The options adults normally consider when they can't pay their bills. That's cold, R.A. Is it? Funny. No one thought it was cold when I was sacrificing my financial future to support them, getting nothing but criticism in return. Kevin didn't respond for several minutes. When he did, his message surprised me. They never told me you were paying the mortgage. They said you were helping out a little with utilities. I had no idea it was everything. A bitter laugh escaped me. Of course they had minimized my contribution. Acknowledging the full extent of their dependence on me would have required a level of gratitude they weren't prepared to give. Well, now you know, I texted back. And now it's over. That afternoon the mortgage company called. I answered. Miss Morgan, Trevor from Homestead Mortgage. Calling about the Morgan residence. Yes, I said. I've removed my payment information. I will no longer be making payments. I understand. The primary account holders claim a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. I voluntarily paid their mortgage for 3 years. I am now voluntarily stopping. That's all. Yes, ma'am. I'll update our records accordingly. By evening, the situation had escalated even more. My phone showed a missed call from Aunt Susan, Mom's sister, followed by a blistering text. Rachel, I can't believe you do this to your own parents. They gave you everything growing up. And this is how you repay them? By throwing them out on the street. Your mother is in tears. Your father is talking about having to sell the house. Is that what you want? To destroy your family over money? I didn't bother responding. Aunt Susan had always parroted Mom's version of events. She had no idea what the reality was. As I drove home I saw it. Dad's old blue Ford, parked in front of my apartment. They were trying to ambush me. I kept driving, circled the block twice, until it was gone. I needed a better plan than hotel hopping. Just as I finally parked, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Rachel. It's Brittany, Kevin's girlfriend. Got your number from his phone. Brittany, is everything okay? Not really. I'm calling because, well, you should know what happened. Your parents showed up at your apartment earlier. When you didn't come home, your dad tried to use his key. His key? He doesn't have a key to my apartment. That's what the neighbor said when he came out and asked what they were doing. Your dad claimed he was your father and had a right to enter. The neighbor called the police. My blood ran cold. The police? Yes. They spoke with your parents. No one was arrested, but they were told they couldn't enter your property without permission. Your dad, he wasn't taking it well when they left. Thank you for telling me. There's more, Brittany said, her voice dropping. Kevin and I had a huge fight. He kept saying you were being selfish. And I told him he was being blind. That from what I saw yesterday, and what he's told me about growing up, you've been treated unfairly for years. He didn't want to hear it. I'm sorry, I said genuinely. I never meant to cause problems. You didn't. This just revealed problems that were already there. She paused. Anyway, I thought you should know about the police, and that not everyone thinks you're wrong. What you did took courage. After thanking her again, I called the local police non-emergency line, filed a report, requested additional patrols. They'd make a note. If they came back, I was to call 911. That night I slept fitfully. Every sound outside my door made me jump. By morning, texts kept pouring in. My cousin Melissa, the family gossip, sent the most revealing one. OMG, the whole family is talking about your parents getting police called on them. Your mom said you're having some kind of breakdown and they were just checking on you. What is actually happening? I finally replied, with simple facts. I stopped paying their bills after years of financial and emotional abuse. They tried to enter my apartment without permission. A neighbor called the police. I'm not having a breakdown. I'm finally standing up for myself. Melissa's response was immediate. Whoa, that's not what they're telling everyone. I'm sure it's not, I wrote back. But it's the truth. As the day progressed, the utilities at their house started shutting off, one by one. I learned this through increasingly frantic messages from Mom. The internet just went out. Now the electricity is gone. It's freezing in here. The water company says service will be disconnected tomorrow. I didn't respond. This was exactly what I'd warned. The consequences were unfolding, exactly as expected. 1 week after Thanksgiving, I sat in Dr. Sarah Collins's office, fidgeting. I'd never been to therapy, but after 7 days of emotional warfare, I needed professional guidance. So, Dr. Collins said, you made a significant change in a long-established family dynamic. That's bound to create ripple effects. How are you feeling about your decision now? I thought about it. Guilty sometimes. Relieved other times. Sad almost always. She nodded. All normal reactions. You've disrupted a dysfunctional system that, while harmful to you, was at least familiar and predictable. Change, even positive change, often brings grief. But should I have done it differently? Less abruptly? Given them warning? Would warning have changed the fundamental dynamics at play? She asked. No, I admitted. They would have tried to guilt or manipulate me, or made promises they wouldn't keep. Then perhaps the abruptness was necessary. Sometimes a clean break is kinder than a prolonged separation. We talked about patterns, my role in them, strategies for setting boundaries. By the end I felt grounded, more certain. Remember, Rachel, she said as I left, reconciliation may be possible someday, but it requires change on both sides, not just yours. Don't accept responsibility for healing a relationship that others aren't willing to examine honestly. Outside I checked my phone. An unexpected message from Kevin. Can we meet for coffee? Just us. No parents, no drama. We met at a downtown cafe, neutral territory. Kevin looked tired, circles under his eyes. Thanks for coming, he said. You look terrible, I replied, not unkindly. He managed a weak smile. Yeah, well, it's been a rough week for everyone. I agree. He stared into his coffee. I broke up with Brittany. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't be. She was right about a lot of things. He looked up at me, including how unfairly you've been treated. This was not what I expected. Go on. After everything blew up, I started thinking about growing up. Really thinking. Not just the highlight reel Mom and Dad always focus on. And I realized you got a raw deal, RA. They were always harder on you. Always expected more. Always gave less. I benefited from that. And I never said anything. No, you didn't, I said, unwilling to make it easy. I should have. I'm sorry. He took a deep breath. But that's not why I wanted to meet. I wanted to tell you I've taken over the utility payments. Not the mortgage yet. I really can't swing that. But electric, water, internet. And I told them they need to figure out the mortgage themselves. I blinked. You did. Yeah, they didn't take it well. Dad said I was choosing you over family. He gave a bitter laugh. The irony was completely lost on him. I never expected you to pick up the bills, Kevin. I know, but it's the right thing to do. I'm their son too. And I've been letting you carry everything. He hesitated. There's something else. The house is going into foreclosure. They're 3 months behind on the mortgage already. What? But I'd been paying it. All those years of sacrifice. Putting my own future on hold. And they've been digging themselves deeper into debt the whole time. They've been telling everyone you abandoned them without warning, Kevin continued. But I set Uncle Robert straight last night. He was pretty shocked to learn you've been paying their mortgage for 3 years. Is that why he called me this morning? Kevin nodded. Probably. He and Aunt Patricia are talking about letting Mom and Dad stay with them. We talked for another hour, comparing notes on our childhood, acknowledging painful truths. It wasn't full reconciliation. Too much had happened, but it was a start. A recognition that the family narrative had been distorted for too long. As we left, Kevin asked, "Are you going to the family Christmas party at Grandma's?" I hadn't even considered it. I don't know. Might be too soon. Think about it, he said. Might be good to have allies there. Allies. The word felt strange applied to my family. But I said, I'll think about it. Later, Brittany texted. Kevin told me you two talked. I'm glad. For what it's worth, ending things with him was hard but necessary. He's got some growing up to do. So do your parents. But you? You're already there. Stay strong. The support from unexpected quarters just kept coming. Jennifer, my boss, called me into her office. Rachel, I've been thinking about your situation. The company has an emergency housing assistance program. Given the circumstances with your family, I believe you qualify. It would cover temporary relocation if you feel unsafe. That's incredibly generous, I said, touched. But I think I'm okay for now. The police have been patrolling. They seem to have backed off. The offer stands if things change. And Rachel, the leadership team has noticed your work. Despite everything, your portfolio performance has been exceptional. That kind of resilience and focus doesn't go unrecognized here. Her words meant more than she could know. Professional recognition, based purely on merit, not compared to a golden child, not diminished by arbitrary standards, pure validation. Not everyone was supportive, though. 3 days later, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. I'd been avoiding their neighborhood, but never expected her across town. Rachel, she hissed, blocking my path in produce. She looked years older. The lines. Her hair unwashed. Mom, I acknowledged, keeping my voice neutral. Excuse me, please. That's it. That's all you have to say after what you've done to our family. Other shoppers were staring. I lowered my voice. This isn't the place, Mom. Where's the place then? You won't answer our calls. You've turned your brother against us. You've turned family friends against us. I've simply told the truth, Mom. If that turns people against you, maybe consider why. Her face contorted. The truth? You want truth? The truth is you've always been selfish. Always thought you were better than us. With your fancy degree. Your big job. We gave you everything growing up. No, I interrupted, finally at my limit. You didn't. You gave Kevin everything. You gave me scraps of attention when it was convenient. You took my college fund for his car. You forgot my high school graduation because he had a baseball game. You see, she shrieked, loud enough that an employee started walking toward us. Always keeping score. Always the victim. Ma'am, the employee said cautiously. Is everything okay? No. Mom spat. My daughter is publicly humiliating me. Just like she's been trying to destroy our family. The employee looked uncomfortably between us. I'm going to have to ask you both to take this outside. You're disturbing other customers. I was just leaving, I said, abandoning my cart. As I walked away, my mother called after me. This isn't over, Rachel. Families don't just end because one person decides to walk away. Her words followed me to the parking lot. My hands shook on the steering wheel. She was right. It wasn't over. The confrontation was recorded. It went viral locally. Financial analysts publicly berated by mother in Thompson's grocery. My professional and personal life blurred dangerously. That weekend, I went to Amber's holiday party. Surrounded by friends who valued me. Expected nothing but my company. As we decorated gingerbread houses, I felt a glimmer of what holidays could be. To chosen family, Amber toasted. The people who love us because they want to, not because they have to. To chosen family, we echoed. In that moment, surrounded by genuine warmth, I understood. I hadn't lost a family. I'd found one worthy of the name. 3 months after the Thanksgiving disaster. Winter was reluctantly giving way to early spring. Buds on the trees. Renewal. Felt right for my own life. My weekly sessions with Dr. Collins were an anchor. Grief isn't just about death, she explained. It's about loss. You've lost the family you hoped for, the relationships you worked to maintain, the fantasy that things might improve. That deserves to be mourned. So I mourned. For the supportive parents I never had. For the brother set against me. For the years spent seeking approval always out of reach. And gradually mourning gave way to acceptance. Acceptance to a tentative peace. My parents' house? Deep in foreclosure. Kevin maintained utilities but the mortgage was too deep. Years of hidden debt. Uncle Robert and Aunt Patricia took them in. Dad refuses to look for anything beyond part-time work, Kevin told me. Says at his age, he shouldn't have to start over. And Mom. She's taken more hours at the library. She's been asking about you. What about me? How you're doing? If you seem okay. If you ever mention them. Kevin stirred his coffee. I think reality is finally setting in that this isn't just a phase. It's not, I confirmed. This is permanent, unless some fundamental things change. I know. I told her that. He looked up. She asked me to give you this. He handed me an envelope. My name. My mother's familiar handwriting. I took it cautiously. You don't have to read it, Kevin said. Or ever. I slipped it into my purse. That night a lone curiosity one. I opened it. 2 pages. Dear Rachel, it began. I don't know if you'll read this. I would in your position. That's what I've been thinking about lately. Your position. For the first time I've been trying to see things from your perspective. It's not comfortable. I don't like the mother I see through your eyes. Harold doesn't know I'm writing this. He's still angry. Still blaming you for everything. I was too at first. It was easier than looking at my part in all this. The truth is I've never been fair to you. I favored Kevin. He was easier. Happy. Uncomplicated. You were always more intelligent. More perceptive. More demanding. You saw through empty words. You needed substance I wasn't equipped to provide. So I took the easy route. Poured my limited emotional resources into Kevin. Left you to fend for yourself. Then I convinced myself you were fine that way. Independent. Self-sufficient. I told myself you didn't need the attention Kevin did. I was wrong. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Not even another chance. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. Too late. But I see it. The damage we did. The daughter we lost because we couldn't appreciate the remarkable woman she became. We're moving in with my sister in Arizona next month. The house will be gone. It's for the best. Too many ghosts there. I hope you're well. I hope someday we might talk again, though I understand if that never happens. Mom. I read it 3 times. Searching for manipulation. Guilt trips. Subtle jabs. They weren't there. Instead, something I never expected, accountability. Limited. Belated. But real. I brought the letter to therapy. Dr. Collins helped me process it. This seems like a significant step for your mother. But one letter doesn't erase years of behavior. If there's to be reconciliation, it would need to be gradual. With clear boundaries. Consistent change. I'm not sure I even want reconciliation, I admitted. Part of me feels lighter without them. That's valid. You're not obligated to rebuild relationships just because you share DNA. What serves your well-being now? What served my well-being? Continuing the separation. But acknowledging her letter. Mom, thank you for your letter. I appreciate the reflection it represents. I'm not ready for further communication at this time, but I wish you well in Arizona. Rachel. Short. Neither warm nor cold. Leaving the door neither fully closed nor wide open. With Kevin things improved. Gradually. He saw our childhood with clearer eyes. Recognized how he'd been weaponized. I was thinking about that science fair in 7th grade. He said during one of our coffee meetings. When you built that amazing solar system model, and Dad made such a big deal about my participation ribbon. You spent weeks on that model. It was incredible. Should have won first place. And all anyone talked about was my stupid ribbon. I remember, I said. I knew it was wrong even then, R.A. I just didn't say anything. Because it felt good to be the favorite. You were a kid, Kevin. Neither of us created that dynamic. No, but I benefited from it. And now I'm trying to figure out who I am without it. He gave a wry smile. Turns out the golden child identity doesn't prepare you very well for actual adulthood. Professionally, the aftermath stabilized. The grocery store video faded. Jennifer recommended me for a prestigious financial advising certification. Your ability to maintain excellent work while handling personal challenges shows exactly the kind of resilience our top clients need, she said. Emotions and finances are always intertwined. Someone who understands that connection firsthand has an advantage. As spring advanced, I created new traditions. Sunday brunches with Amber and friends. Volunteer work. A tentative first date with Michael, an architect. One warm Saturday, I was returning from a run. I saw him, Dad, waiting near my apartment. Older. Diminished. My steps slowed. Dad. He turned nervous. Rachel. I wasn't sure you'd talk to me. Depends on what you want to say. He nodded. I won't take much of your time. Before we leave for Arizona, I needed to say something. In person. He took a deep breath. You were right about a lot of things. I wasn't fair to you. I didn't appreciate what you did for us. The admission. So long awaited. Strangely anticlimactic. Thank you for saying that. I'm not good at this, he continued. Admitting when I'm wrong. Your mother always said it was my worst quality. A ghost of a smile. One of many, according to her these days. Arizona is a fresh start, I offered. Yes. At my age. He shook his head. Starting over at 61 wasn't in the plan. Plans change. We adapt. He looked up then. Really seeing me. You turned out well, Rachel. Strong. Smart. That wasn't because of us. It was despite us. I want you to know I recognize that. The words unlocked something in my chest. Not forgiveness, but a release. I appreciate that, Dad. We stood in awkward silence. We're leaving next week. Your mother has the address. If you ever want to. It's there if you need it. Safe travels, I said, not committing to more. He nodded, understanding the boundary. Take care of yourself, Rachel. I am, I replied. For the first time in a long time. I really am. As he walked away, no dramatic search. No cinematic reconciliation. No profound catharsis. Just a quiet acknowledgement. Sometimes healing doesn't look like complete restoration. Sometimes it's just about reaching a place where the past no longer dictates the future. That evening I hosted dinner. Amber, Kevin, few close friends. The same table where Thanksgiving had imploded. I looked at their faces. People who chose to be in my life. Who valued me as I was. Who expected nothing beyond mutual respect. What are you smiling about? Amber asked. Just thinking about conditional versus unconditional love, I replied. All my life, I thought family love was supposed to be unconditional, but it came with so many conditions I could never meet. And here with friends where we could walk away at any time. This feels more unconditional than anything I grew up with. Kevin raised his glass. To finding the right conditions to thrive. And the courage to create them when necessary. As our glasses clinked, I realized the family I had lost? It had never really existed. Not beyond my desperate hopes and futile efforts. What I had found instead. Self-respect, true friendship, honest connection, and yes, even a cautiously healing relationship with my brother. It was real, solid, and mine to keep. The journey hadn't been easy. The $28,800 I'd spent might never be repaid. The emotional cost was higher still. But looking around at my chosen family, I knew with absolute certainty, it had been worth every penny. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between supporting family and protecting your own well-being? What boundaries have you set? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if this resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe for more stories of personal growth through tough situations, and share it with someone who might need to hear that it's okay to choose yourself sometimes. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, true family supports your wings. It doesn't clip them.